We think of language as a tool for describing the world. But what if a language could do more? What if it could actually build relationships, manage our worst impulses, and literally engineer the culture of the people who speak it? Well, today we're diving into Arreqqana, a language designed from the ground up to do exactly that. So, get this. This is one of the core laws of their language. Now, think about pretty much any argument you've ever had. They tend to get louder, right? Well, Arreqqana completely flips that on its head. This single idea is the key to everything. So the puzzle becomes, how on earth could you enforce a rule that goes against our basic human instincts? Well, because that rule isn't just some piece of good advice your parents gave you. It's a formal linguistic register. You can think of it like a specific mode of speaking that you have to switch into for certain situations. It's an entire system designed to navigate one of the trickiest parts of being human, disagreement. And it has this incredible name, the coastal argument whisper. The rule is simple. As the emotional temperature goes up, your voice must go down. Just think about that for a second. It immediately changes the goal of an argument. Suddenly, it's not about winning anymore. It's about making sure the relationship survives. The whole psychological game is different. And we're talking about hard and fast rules here, not just suggestions. You have to be quiet, you have to speak slowly, you even have to make your breath audible. But look at the content rules too. No insults, obviously, but also no absolutes. You can't use words like always or never. And this one is huge. You have to state your feelings before you present the facts. It's an incredibly precise system for de-escalation. Okay, so this all raises the big, crucial question, right? It's one thing to have a cultural norm, like taking your shoes off indoors. But how do you bake a rule for behavior, for emotion, into the very structure, the nuts and bolts of a language? The answer is just brilliant. The answer is something they call the master sound grid. This is the foundation, the literal source code that dictates every single sound that can even exist in the Arreqqana language. It's called the AXQ chart. And to understand it, you have to completely forget the idea of an alphabet. This isn't about letters. It's more like a loom, a generative grid where every single thread of sound, every syllable, is intentionally woven together with a built-in meaning and a specific energy. So here's how this loom works. It's totally modular, kind of like building with Legos. You take a consonant piece, say K, which has a structural meaning like control, and you combine it with a vowel piece, which carries an emotional tone, like A for assertion. Put them together, and you get ka, a valid syllable that means something. Nothing is random, every sound is deliberate. And these vowels, they're the secret sauce. They are the emotional heart of the entire language. Each one has a specific resonance built right in. A feels like assertion. Oi feels like connection. U feels like depth. This means when you're choosing your words, you are literally choosing an emotional frequency. The feeling is engineered in at the most basic level possible. Okay, so we've got these fundamental, meaningful sounds, but how do you string them together into a functional language? Well, just like the sound system, the grammar is built to be totally logical and modular. For instance, building a verb is this really elegant process. You start with a simple root, like nam, for love. Then you add a class vowel, like r, which basically tells you it's an action. And if you want to add a little flair, you can attach an optional style tail, like a to add intensity. So nam ar a becomes a more intense way of loving. It really is like Legos for words. And the best part? You know how in languages like French or Spanish, you have to memorize these huge, complicated conjugation tables? Forget all that. In Arreqqana, you just add simple little particles. If you want to make any verb past tense, you just stick da on the front. That's it. The system is just incredibly clean and easy to build on. All right, so we've looked under the hood at the mechanics of the language. Now for the fun part. Let's see how all this actually works in the real world. In those messy, high-stakes human situations like conflict, romance, and ritual. Now check this out. It's a perfect example. You have the exact same root words creating two completely different social realities. If you say the phrase pipi karşıya in a light, quick way, it's a casual public flirt. But if you stretch out that first vowel and add breath, pipi karşıya, it becomes this deeply intimate, private whisper. The sound itself literally rewrites the social contract in that moment. And the speakers are totally aware of this. They even have this quick safety chart. It's an in-world guide that shows the risk and power tied to each way of speaking. Public flirting, low risk, gives you social power. The argument whisper we talked about, medium risk, but it has relational power.
And then you get into the deep stuff, like the bedroom forbidden register, high risk, and it's considered soul binding. The language itself maps out the levels of intimacy and danger.
And the language isn't just about navigating conflict, it's also about repair. After an argument, there's a specific stabilization line that's whispered to mend the bond. Kasarar walina break. It means we reweave, we do not break. The language gives them the exact ritual, the exact words they need to heal.
So let's pull all these amazing threads together. When you have a system like this, a language that is so intentional, what does that really mean for the people who speak it and the world they create for themselves? Here's the most important takeaway. In Arreqqana, language is not a passive mirror reflecting the culture. It's the active blueprint. It's the tool they use to build the culture, engineering their social rules and emotional responses right from the level of basic sound. There's this final metaphor from the source material that just perfectly captures the whole idea. Words are built from sound. AXQ is the loom, meaning is the cloth. The language itself is the machine they use to weave their entire social fabric. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Arreqqana's big rule was to lower your voice when things get heated. So if you could engineer one unbreakable rule into your own language, a rule designed specifically to strengthen relationships, what would it be? What one linguistic law would you create to build a better connection?